Thanks, Chrissy. You've done your homework. That's great. Welcome along to the Hamelin Gold presentation, and thanks very much to the RIU team for the opportunity to present today. Hamelin Gold is a company with exploration in our DNA. We're really driven to grow our business through discovery, and what I'd like to show you today is some examples of how we believe we're moving down that path to reach that objective. So today I'd like to talk about three things. One is our application of new technologies in this undercover terrain. Secondly, some of the key observations we've made that are really opening up new search spaces within the Tanami. And lastly, I'll touch on what Chrissy talked about, which was what is BHP Explore and what does it mean for Hamelin Gold. So by way of introduction, our primary project is located up in the northeast of Western Australia. Our board is extremely experienced, well balanced with a good technical and commercial background. Pretty tight capital structure with Silver Lake and Goldfields as key shareholders on our register. We have a good cash position and an enterprise value which is really ready to accelerate if we can get some positive results. And I'll show you through some of those prospects which we think could deliver that response. So up here in the Tanami, we are a dominant landholder in the West Australian side of the Tanami province. We're located directly along strike, along the same structures and the same geology that hosts Newmont's giant Kali or Tanami operations. It's odd in an orogenic belt to have such a giant and not a string of sort of 2 to 5 million ounce deposits within the same province. And that's the sort of scale opportunity we believe that Hamelin Gold has. The reason why it's still probably undiscovered is we have extensive sand cover, very little outcrop, and you could hide pretty well anything under there. And given Kali has such a small footprint, there is ample opportunity to hide a few Kalis in 3,500 square kilometres. But with a sand environment like this, we really need to be good at two things. We need to be great at prediction, like where we think these deposits could be, and we need to be great at trying to explore and detect those deposits without going broke, drilling holes all over the place. So I'd like to talk about one of those elements, which is the use of the CSIRO developed ultrafine soil technology, which is a bit of a groundbreaking change for our work in this undercover terrain. So by way of example, I'll introduce you to the Sultan Gold prospect. Now this is an area where we identified a key structure that extended over 10 kilometres of strike. It was an interpreted structure that had never been drilled by previous explorers and really had no substantial surface outcrop. We put one line of drilling across that started in late 2022 and finished in 23 with an RC program. And in that program, we delivered a 7-metre intersection at 3 grams gold with a metre at over half an ounce gold. This was an exceptional result in a completely unexplored part of the project. Then our question came, how do we explore the rest of this 10 Ks, again, without drilling infinitely? And this is where we trialled the first application of a technology that we've been looking to orientate, or have been orientating over the previous years. And this is the ultrafine technology. We selected that 4-kilometre long corridor as the first place that we put it into operation. The results were outstanding. I think anyone who has seen geochemical data before looks for big red blobs. And one thing we generated was a beautiful, coherent, 1-kilometre long gold anomaly in sand cover, which is as I said, a groundbreaking and outstanding outcome. Sitting right on a beautiful structural flexure. We got these results, and within 2 weeks, we'd completed heritage monitoring. We mobilised a rig from Perth and had completed a 67-hole program, all within 2 weeks of getting those results. Those results were released to the market in early January, and I realise that you're probably not going to be able to read these figures, but what we identified was a 700-metre long bedrock gold anomaly sitting directly underneath that ultrafine surface anomaly. So what this means, obviously we're super excited to get the RC rig out here, and we've got an EIS co-funding to test this target at depth. But what it means for the rest of the project is we have potentially a groundbreaking new tool that we can apply to other sand-covered terrains and potentially come up with more targets like this. And this is a sort of footprint that might be sitting over a major gold system. So very exciting work. That drilling, the RC drilling, will start in a few months' time. The second area I'd like to look at in the second sort of part of the talk is looking at the effectiveness of previous exploration. We inherited a database of over 20,000 drill holes, of which 70% were less than 10 metres deep. This is an example of a 4-kilometre long gold system that was identified with surface sampling. And you look at that drill database and you think, well, that's been drill tested to death. All those blue dots are drill holes. What we didn't see when we first looked at it was all this drilling was less than 7 metres deep. Just to the north at our Fremantle project, where we'd done some exploration, we've seen a 20-metre thick leached profile. What that means is if you're not drilling through that leach profile, you're not going to see any regolith dispersion. So to test our concept that we thought this may be ineffectively drilled, we looked at the very northern part of this project where we had heritage clearance and completed 3 lines of air core drilling. And I'll show you what that looks like in section. So that's what we inherited, 7-metre deep drill holes directly over the top of the surface anomaly, and that's colour-coded by gold. So there's absolutely no gold there above 50 ppb gold. When we did our air core drilling, what we identified was an extensive, coherent regolith anomaly that is open to the south where we have yet to get heritage clearance. So what we're really excited about doing is getting that clearance, pushing air core drilling across the full extent of the 4-kilometre long anomaly, and then we'll follow that up with deeper drilling targeting the higher grade portions of that system. But this is again just an example of what we've seen elsewhere in the project, ineffectively drilled areas where solid gold anomalies at surface have been tested with only shallow drilling. So again, opening up fantastic new search spaces for the company. Lastly, we definitely don't know everything out here. In fact, we're learning by the week. And one thing we did was went out just to the north of where I just showed you that geochem anomaly. We drilled this rather weird looking magnetic anomaly. We had it as a gold target. We thought it was an interesting thing to test. We had an RC rig in the area. We decided to put 1 line of drilling across this to see what it was. What we got was not what we expected. We actually intersected a mafic, ultramafic intrusion that contained nickel copper PGE sulfide mineralisation. This is the first time this style of mineralisation has been recorded in the Tanami, and we were being nickel explorers in our previous lives. We knew how important that was to see that early mineralisation in a hole that was just really untargeted. We then looked at it and said, well, how are we going to get this funded? How are we going to move forward on this opportunity? And we decided to make an application to the BHP Explore program. And it is an accelerated program where you work side by side with BHP technical and contract staff to push that project forward and to determine if it's the sort of thing that might be of interest to BHP. Now, obviously at this stage it is, because we were one of the 6 out of 529 applications that was successful globally. So we're pretty excited that they're excited. If we can turn this into a project and tick a few more boxes, and if it's of interest to BHP, it could be fascinating for our shareholders. Now, this is a single intrusion. We've now mapped out a very large area where these other intrusive bodies appear to have potential for them, and this BHP program will really work out whether we've got a small occurrence or potentially a new province. So an exciting time ahead. Thank you very much for your time to listening to me today. I do encourage you to come to the booth and talk to me if you'd like to see anything more. We're here for the next 2 days. Have a great conference and thanks for your time.